Hey everyone, Liam here, AFC Motorcycles Palmerston North, and today we've been riding the KTM 2021 890 Adventure R. It's just a step up above from the 790 they released a couple of years ago with some slight improvements, mainly in the engine department, which in turn really affected the chassis and the way it handled from the experiences that I had riding it today and the other day. We're looking at 10 more horsepower, I believe, is the 890 putting out, with an extra 5 kgs of weight. So it's definitely slightly heavier, but with the more horsepower, it gave it a really nice feel, especially when it came to the off-road side of things. Obviously it's really nice on the road having that extra grunt, pull out to pass a car or something like that. You do notice it ever so slightly, and it doesn't seem to have that flat spot that the 790 had when you got up there a little bit in the higher speeds. The off-road capability of it is kind of where I felt it really came into play a lot nicer with this 890. Straight away when I jumped on it, I rode it in an off-road kind of environment, and it was super nice because I didn't find it as twitchy as I found the 790 when I first got on it. It can be, sometimes when you rode the 790s and you kind of really whacked the power on or got quite aggressive with the whole motorcycle itself, I found sometimes a little bit nervous feeling coming from the motorcycle, whereas the 890, as soon as I jumped on it, I didn't get that feeling at all. I felt pretty much in control the whole time on it, and that was, I mean, for something out of the box, it was a really key thing for me. I love jumping on a bike and just being able to go as quick as I feel like going, sort of thing, without kind of feeling like the machine's not really up to it. The 890 running obviously a lot of the same componentry as the 790 ran. There's a few different little things that they have on them. They have a cruise control switch block already on them. The cruise control is not actually activated, it's an add-on software download that you can get, but they've already got the switch block on it, so it means you don't have to pay for that and then get the mechanics to install it, because it was a couple hours worth of a job. So that's already on there. It's just a software download. Quick shifter is another software download you can get on the bike. I really recommend a quick shifter. It's super nice when you're in the gravel roads, especially. I find it the nicest, and you're kind of sliding in between turns and stuff like that, and if you got to go up or down a gear just to get the pitch of the bike a little bit better around the turns, I find it just nice to be in control of the handlebars and just move my foot on the shifter and it just changing effortlessly. The 890 didn't come with the rally mode this year. Not sure the full reasoning behind that, I guess because here in New Zealand the bike was only about $2,000 more, and you're getting, I guess, a lot better of a bike for that $2,000, so they did make it an extra as a software download, that rally mode. I believe it's not too expensive from memory. I think it's about $350, but even riding without it, it was pretty nice. You kind of do miss when you did have rally mode on that 790, you had obviously the eight levels of it, 8 being where the traction control kind of hits in sooner, and 1 obviously being letting you really free it around. Usually it was 3 or 4 setting on the gravel for me. It was nice, just enough to bloody flick out the rear and kind of steer around the corners. And then if you had kind of like a nice long open gravel road, then on the I'd have it on mode 8 sort of thing. Without having that on this 890, I did find obviously it has traction control or traction control off, so it's either hit or it's either basically spinning or it's not spinning. I do miss rally mode, and it probably would be one of the things I would get for it first as a software download, so I'd probably be running quick shifter and that rally mode straight away on it. But other than that, much of the same. Obviously they have the chassis side of things is all very similar in terms of the tanks. You got the tanks at low center of gravity, that's so noticeable when you jump on the bike. It does really feel like a dirt bike for me. It's the background I've come from, and it does, after 5 minutes on the off-road, it does feel like a dirt bike just because that weight is so down low. Some of those other bigger bikes like your 1090s or your 1290s and stuff, it is a little bit more noticeable when you got that weight up high, especially in the off-road kind of scene. It's a little bit harder to kind of throw it around, I guess you could say. Obviously run and install the Brembo brakes on it, twin disc at the front. Not sure if they have had too much of a suspension upgrade, but I did notice like under those sharp little braking bumps coming into some of those gravel road turns and stuff like that, it did really seem to handle those a little bit better. I'd have to double check just to see if there was much of an upgrade there. I should know, I know, but it did really, yeah, handle those a little bit better, and then the corner obviously nicer. On the 790 it did go like that and then into the corner, whereas this kind of seemed to just really kind of soak those bumps up and then into the corner. It was a lot nicer in that regards. You've got the same TFT display. I know there was a lot of moisture problems and stuff like that on the 790. I do believe it's the same display that was on the 790. I know they updated, I think, that a couple of times with the 790, the problems they had with that, but I believe it's a similar dash, so I would expect you probably to see a couple of 890 dashes maybe still have a bit of moisture in them until they really work that little kink out. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect the way the bike rides or anything like that, so that's the main thing. And then also you still got your scroll through menu on the left hand side where you use from the switch block, which is really easy to use. So over here in New Zealand, the 890 Adventure R is $26,299 plus on-road costs. Really well priced, I think, about $2,000 more expensive than what the 790 used to be at its full RRP before they did a run out on them. For me, I think that's well within the price range for the bike you're getting. It's a really capable bike and an awesome bike, and aside from getting those couple of software downloads, it's ready to go out of the box. Obviously, KTM's motto, ready to race. You'd even without those software downloads, you know, I'd be happy to jump on this and do a 5,000k trip with some buddies riding on gravel roads or off roads. You know, it'd be pretty cool. Another good feature of their 890, is the service intervals being at 15,000 k's. It's such a widespread service interval, you know, you don't have to worry about how big of a trip you're kind of almost doing because it's a long time between services. And we do kind of tell a lot of our customers trying to maybe dump the oil at the 7,500 mark, just as a precautionary thing. You know, the better you look after it, the better it is going to be to you. So yeah, that's what we do kind of recommend sometimes, even though KTM recommends a 15,000k service interval. It's always good to over-service your bike. It'll look after you in the long run for sure. A couple of other cool things you can get on this 890 Adventure R is you can change the screen to a taller screen. This S model one, I believe, fits it. I know a lot of people do have a little bit of a buffering issue with the 890 and the way that screen works and whatnot. And it honestly all depends a lot on how tall you are, the helmet you're running. Are you running like a moto helmet with the goggles? Are you running like a just a road helmet? Are you running an adventure helmet? It all changes and depends obviously on that situation to how the wind's basically coming over the top and how it's buffering your head. I know a few people do have a little bit of problems with that. I don't have too much of an issue with it, but I know, yeah, some people have put the S model windscreen on. It just makes that wind go up a little bit higher, which is totally fine. Another couple of cool accessories you can get, obviously Acro Povic exhaust system for it. Just the muffler slip-on gives it a little bit more bark. I believe opens that rear part up a little bit more. You can get the carbon fiber tank protection there, which if you're doing a lot of rocky roads, big kind of rock boulders, yep, I definitely would recommend them. Maybe even some crash bars down there to protect that kind of stuff. But other than that, KTM, yeah, they built a really nice bike out of the box. You're running your 18-inch rear wheel, 21 front, so that's what I mean when it comes to that off-road. I don't know if it's the wheels or whatnot, but that kind of does feel like give it that dirt bike feeling, because it is obviously the same wheel setup as like on an EXC or an XC dirt bike. The another option for the people that are a little bit smaller, you obviously can still get the low seat for them. The seat height is pretty much the same as the 790, so if you found the 790 one a little bit tall, you can obviously get that lower seat. I believe it lowers at about 20 to 25 mil. Just gives that a little bit more of a footprint on the ground, which is ideal, especially when you get into a situation off-road. Gives that a little bit more confidence that you can quickly dab your foot or whatnot. Yeah, so for me, the 890 Adventure R 2021 model, KTM's done an awesome job with this bike, and obviously just that little bit step up again from that 790. We thought the 790 was pretty cool when it came out, and then they bring that 90 out, and it is just that little bit step above, which KTM is very good at doing with their bikes, always updating them, making new little changes that really does make a big change when you go to ride them, which is really cool. So first thing I found when I jumped on it, I was probably the most comfortable I've been on an adventure bike when I jumped on this 890 here. So whether or not that means because I've been riding them for a little while now, or don't know, but it was comfortable to get on it straight away, even on the road. I know a lot of people just think adventure bike, it's going to be horrible on the road, but because the tank's set up and the low center of gravity it kind of has, but still has the ground clearance, it does make it still really nice to ride on the road. But yeah, awesome job by KTM for this 890, and yeah, ASC motorcycles, we're ready to sell them.